Welcome everyone. I am Loghesh and now I am going to be discussing on the topic unethical decisions made by professional workers and its side effects. I am doing this project with my teammate Shazli Haque. I am from 3 BSc EA Economics and Analytics. Before moving on to the topic itself, I want to discuss why I chose this topic. This might not seem very special at first case, but we often neglect the importance of ethics and morality in our daily lives. Like this might not be say become a big issue or something. And my concern of choosing particularly the professional workers like policemen, lawyers, doctors, or teachers is because as a normal day-to-day human we might or might not follow ethics and it might have some kind of normal to medium impact on our lives, but when we have certain responsibilities and power with us, it becomes too easy to break the rules or to neglect our responsibilities and behave in a very unethical manner. That is the primary reason why I wanted to discuss some certain unethical decisions and morally incompatible issues that are made by teachers, professors, lawyers, doctors, and etc. Now, going on to the topic, let's first discuss what is morality and what is ethics. At a first look, these both might seem as a same concept only. Let me discuss the differences. Morality is concerned with the result of wrong action when it is done, meaning this concept comes into play when there is an bad activity or wrong activity which is being done, that includes in the part of morality, whereas ethics is concerned with the result of right action when it is done. So, and to notice is that ethics is also a reflection of morality. Morality is an individual morality can be said as the individual's principle of right or wrong, which means it is our moral compass. People will say this is a moral compass, meaning that these are supposed to uh, indicate us what are the decisions we are doing, it is wrong or right. Also, morality is one's own opinion of what is wrong and right, whereas ethics is an overall set of laws or some sort of a sort of laws which is being influenced and modified by the society. Now, I will be discussing some unethical behavior of policemen and teachers. These below examples are some of the most highly done unethical behavior by these professionals. Now, discussing about the policemen, we all might have come across certain issues like policemen are extorting money from civilians for no reason, just using their authority, or policemen being corrupted because for their personal gains or the reason they want to enjoy their benefits being a police, or threatening civilians by using their influence and then doing some criminal activities on the basis that they have the power to they have the power that no one can question their authority. This is very highly unethical because policemen are supposed to keep the common people, us, the general public, very safe. But instead, these policemen are assaulting or trying to bribe us in each and every scenario. A common example can be given from road traffic cops who often who often expects people to give them money even if we have the proper documents. Now, moving on to the unethical and unmoral actions done by the teachers. First is sexual harassment against students. This might come up in the very recent news, but teachers, especially male faculties, often take or exploit exploit female students, especially in their higher studies, 11th and 12th, because teachers have some sort of control over the entire classroom, and using this sort of power given by the school management or college management, they often tend to disturb slash harass female students. This is very wrong action and is considered very highly unethical. Regardless of their position, people tend to go to some extreme extents to harass students. Now, moving on, the other sort of issues can be misusing the control and extorting the students for money. For example, this can be said as expecting the students to give them some kind of monetary payment or some sort of payment in kind sort of thing to the students or to get benefited from the students using his or own power. And the third, which is mostly common in some in any government or any even private institution, is taking bribes from students just to change their mark sheets and etc. We know that education system is very strict, and it also guides thousands of students in India every year to go onto a good path. And teachers are supposed to be treated as gods. Like, for example, next to God, we consider teachers at the next level. But some teachers are being very highly unethical and taking some sort of monetary influence from the students just so that they can get some personal benefits. Now, I will mention not only some sort of previously discussed data which I found in the internet, but also I'm going to share you some data collected from the survey which I shared with some of my personal and some known people. This questionnaire I will be also sharing the link through the Google portal. So the majority of people I have asked, I have responded that whether they believe in police or teachers to have ethical and moral values. Around 48% of people believe that they don't have ethics and they don't follow the ethics up to certain level. Next, I asked them whether the teachers extorting money or valuables is it's ethical to extort money from students, keeping in mind that the teacher is facing some sort of personal and financial crisis on their family, because most of the times teachers tends to do that in some sort of emergency or to keep up there with their family. And people are told that extortion cannot be accepted at any cost. Then let's talk about the police extorting money from public, especially road props, just to achieve their his or own monthly targets. And people have said that no, it's not also acceptable. Moving on, I will be discussing some real life effect of people due to unethical decisions. As you might have noticed, a year ago, a professor from IIT Kanpur, despite being such a well-known, educated person, he verbally abused a student who was disabled just for the reason that he was from a lower caste, and also he didn't stand up for the national anthem. But basically, the main issue was that he was having a personal issue on discriminated the student from caste discrimination, which is very highly unethical and not unmoral. Moving on to the police, they last year police force actually killed two innocent people, known Phoenix and Zebras in actually Tuticorin, for their personal vendetta. The issue what happened was the Phoenix and Zebraj were actually a father and son. They were running a mobile company business. The police wanted to get some sort of cheap deal at a very expensive mobile, and they both refused. And during the lockdown period, the shops were supposed to be closed at 6 p.m. Even though it was they could have been somewhat lenient, they wantedly arrested both of them and beaten to death in the police office itself. Hopefully, it came out in the news and people were able to acknowledge the police brutality which has happened. This is not only occurring in India; this is also occurring in United States also, where around a year ago, you might have remembered the Black Lives Matter protest being going on. One of the main stimulus for this issue is because last year, a person named George Floyd was publicly um, harassed and suffocated to death by an American police officer. The reason being because of racism in America. So we can clearly see that this is not just an issue in India, this is happening everywhere. Now, what I wanted to conclude from all of this is that we can say that people cannot be always perfect, because but we can somewhat try to be. The main issue which I have found is that people often, which means the teachers and police often uh, do often engage in such sort of unethical and unmoral decisions, mainly due to two reasons: either because of caste discrimination against the victim, or due to their personal gains, or due to some sort of political pressure which is happening in that so and so country. So I would suggest this as uh, a video where people can understand the side effects of unethical decisions which is being done by people in so in such higher authorities and kindly stop doing them so because this is affecting the general public in a very harmful manner. Thank you. Welcome everyone. I am Lokesh and now I have Professor Vijay Kumar with me from Vellore Institute of Technology, and today we are going to be discussing on the topic of unethical decisions made by professional workers, especially professors and teachers. So, can I ask you the first question?
Yeah, good evening. Yeah, you can start.
Yeah, thank you. The first question which I wanted to ask you is that what are your ideas on ethics and morality? Do you think these concepts are the same or any difference between them? What are your views on it?
Yeah, we found there are few differences between ethics and morality. So when we talk about ethics, ethics is something like everyone are expected to do. When we talk about morality, it depends on individuals. So we may not expect the same from all. But ethics is something like we need to everyone expected to do in a ethical way.
Yeah. And what I wanted to ask you next is that what are your personal work ethic or some sort of professional ethics which you follow in your institution?
So when it comes for our institute, as we are a reputed institute in India, one of the reputed institute, we normally used to have work ethics like we need to deliver the lectures in time. That means which comes under punctuality. And then we need to evaluate the papers. We need to clear the doubts whenever the students are asking. In teaching learning process, that's the first and foremost predominant thing which we need to.
Sure, sure. So the final question which I wanted to ask you is that what happens if you indulge in some unethical actions or unethical or morally immoral actions in your university? What kind of side effect will you face from it?
Yeah, obviously that cannot be tolerated. So whether it can be like an extortion of money or exploiting a student in some other way, both of them are not tolerable. So what there are some rules and regulations, policy violations are being promoted, and when we talk about our institute, they will immediately dismiss us. We will
Oh,
be sacked out of the institute.
okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you very much for taking your time and attending this meeting. I
Thank
really
you. Thank you.
appreciate it. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Hello everyone, this is Shazli from 3rd BSc and here I'm going to talk about the side effect of unethical decision made by a professional worker. Doctor and lawyer are bound by a stricter code of ethics because they are taking care of and representing people who trust them. This professional risks malpractices accusation if they act in an unethical manner. Read a sample list. I'm going to tell you about the sample list of unethical behavior by this profession. A doctor date a patient in their care. A physician doesn't tell a patient his truth, his true diagnosis because it may reveal that there was a mistake in his care. A lawyer will not return money or provide a settlement that was being held for a client. A lawyer represents party on both the sides of the legal transaction. So, the next thing I'm going to talk about the impact of employee performance. The lack of ethic has negative effect on employee performance. In some cases, employees are so concerned with getting ahead and making money that they ignore procedure and protocol. This can lead to additional paperwork, careless error that result in tasks having to complete again. Additionally, employees who feel acting ethically and following the rule will not get them ahead in the business. Sometimes feel lack of motivation, which often led to decrease in performance. So, employee relations are affected. When a manager or a head of the business exhibit a lack of ethical behavior, he faces losing the respect of his employees. It is difficult to have a successful business without well respected leader. A lack of ethical behavior can also cause tension among employees, with some employer resenting those who do not play by the rule and still manage to get ahead. Unethical behavior in the workplace also has the potential to lead to the lack of trust among the employee, which is detrimental to the business and relies on the collaboration and a sense of community. I am pleased to meet you, Mr. Jatin Raj, a corporate lawyer. Here I'm going to ask you question about unethical practices in your profession. So my first question is, do you notice any unethical behavior in your workplace environment?
No, it is very rare that there is any unethical behavior in our workplace in these days because we have a very strict ethical code, and any unethical behavior done by any attorney goes unnoticed, and they have to face very serious consequences after that.
Okay. Now I'm going to go towards my second question. Can you please give an example of unethical behavior in your line of work?
Yeah. See, I would guess that the greatest number of sanctionable ethics violation arise from the matters of a financial nature, like willfully mishandling the client's money. I recall a case arising in which an attorney was suspended from the practice of law for his actions against his estranged wife during a divorce. So that was a example of a unethical behavior which was unrelated to the practice of law, which also gets taken as a disciplinary action.
Okay. So yeah, I am end up with my interview. So thank you for taking out the time for this interview. Thank you so much. Good evening. I'm pleased to meet you, Mr. Abhipreet Bajpai, a police officer. Here I'm going to ask you some question about unethical practices in your profession. So my first question is, do you notice any unethical behavior in your workplace environment?
Yes, I do notice in my everyday duty. जैसे कि कई मेरे कलीग्स भी ऐसा पैसा लेते हैं लोगों से बाकी, लेकिन मैं नहीं लेता हूँ.
Okay. Thank you for taking out the time for this interview. So here's one scenario which I was thinking and I try to keep it. So it start like this. So the scenario worked like this. There was a person named Mike Ross. His childhood dream to become a lawyer. Mike found school incredibly easy due to his perfect memory and really put effort into study. He got scholarship in the school and planned to take up law until he was expelled after his friend convinced him to cheat on the math test. Mike had been admitted as a transfer student at Harvard Law, but the dean found out and was forced to expel Mike and tell Harvard that he did so, that he never get in. Sometime after his expulsion, Mike started giving LSAT for other people. Mike realized that he had learned about the law as much as they would have taught in the law school. So he decided to practice law by using a fake degree, and since he never got into any law school, after some time he was well versed with the law and started helping people who were in need. Instead of becoming a top corporate lawyer, he decided to do good for the people who were dying need of help. So Mike knew that all this year he was practicing law under a fake degree, and it was inevitable that the truth will get out regardless of what he was doing. That is helping people by only taking minimum fee. True to Mike's suspicion, one of his former clients found out about his fake degree and decided to report it to the bar council. The bar council found this particular case quite troublesome because it was difficult to pass a verdict that was both ethically and morally correct because of the nature of the work Mike Ross was doing, which was bringing justice to the people in need of help. But every time he represented the client, he was breaking the law. So, what do you think the decision which is both morally and ethically correct?